To understand why Africa is losing trees faster than any other area of the world, I've come to Malawi in South Central Africa, landlocked and mostly rural. We're heading north from the capital, Lilongwe, through sleepy small towns and out into the rolling countryside in search of Malawi's last rainforest. High above this young herder, a spectacular view from space. Now, we're headed to a spot about 20 miles southwest of Lake Malawi, one of Africa's biggest lakes and the dominant feature in this geography. Key things to know about Malawi: its population has almost doubled in a generation. Its economy is based mostly on subsistence agriculture, and people are quite poor, and Malawians depend almost entirely on wood. As we travel north, we're coming across some areas of really wonderful natural beauty. Yet, as you look closer, there are some troubling signs. It's not always clear-cutting that takes away the trees. Sometimes the forest just thins out over time, and you have to look closely to see that this is happening. Later in our story, we'll meet an elder who will tell us why Malawi stopped protecting its trees. So, folks, as I walk along here, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 10 trees that look like they've been recently cut down. Here's one right here. And this is one clearing in one forest in one country in Africa. Just one small slice of this huge problem. As we travel farther, we start to see hills that were once blanketed in trees just baking in the sun. Around the world, deforestation is driven mainly by farmers and ranchers. And in Malawi, on top of that, you have the demand for charcoal for cooking. It's clearing out forest at an unsustainable rate. And yet there are still dense areas of forest remaining in Malawi. And we're arriving at one of these, the Intochee Forest Reserve. Just take a look at how lush, how rich this forest looks, how thriving compared to what we just saw on our journey. As I hike up the mountain with friends for a sunset view, we're encountering something good, and that's sustainable use of this forest reserve. These are local residents who on Saturdays are allowed to go up and cut wood from fallen trees in the forest and then haul that out for their own use. Did you see those loads of wood those women were carrying? At least 3 women, maybe more, were coming down here, carrying sticks, carrying large sections of trees that have been cut somewhere, at least 50 kilograms, over 100 pounds, probably more, down a very steep trail we're on here. And I'm just hoping they weren't going to fall. It's pretty remarkable. And I've seen this not just in this country, but in other countries too. In this amazing forest reserve in north central Malawi, we're almost like an island right here out in the middle of the country here. Because as you look over here, there's the border, essentially, between the rainforest, a very dense canopy of trees, and then right above it, a hill that is virtually empty, virtually devoid of any vegetation. Deforestation just does not get much more stark than this. It's time to head down the mountain and admire the sunset as we go, and rest up for day 2 when we will head into the rainforest, the surviving rainforest that crowns Intochee. So here we are, it's about 10 in the morning, bright sunlight, not a cloud in the sky. We're on this exposed ridge here, an exposed ridge that is carrying us up to the very top of this sort of mountain here it's going to be about 1,000 feet of vertical gain, and we'll get out of this very, very hot exposed position and into the heart of the rainforest. So let's see what that looks like. So here we've come across on the trail these trees that have fallen, which probably the women we saw carrying, there's giant loads down the mountain. We're working up here because they are allowed to carve out pieces like this and then bundle them together. And you can see they were carrying a bunch of these down the mountain. Finally, we move into the rainforest, and the difference within just a short distance is impressive. Just imagine how old some of these trees are. Look at the size, just the majesty of these amazing giants of this rainforest. I had to pause to admire some of these trees. They've got so much texture. They're almost like natural sculptures. What's neat is you get into this rainforest and the temperature's dropped about 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. The air is actually sweet, and you're just surrounded by this sort of cathedral of trees, some of which are shooting up, I would say, at least 30 meters into the sky with massive root bases and vines entangling. It's a magical place. And always above you in the rainforest, this magnificent canopy of green, of life. I was told that the man to see is Eston Ngoza, who at almost 80 years young has seen Malawi's forest transformed since the 1950s.
I love trees. I love trees. My father was a forest guard in the British government. So sometimes he would take me into the forest when he was doing his patrols. So I started loving trees way back from 1950s. So when I was in town, I was thinking of the forest, the trees here. Having seen other forests perishing, then I started thinking of my forest, Chisnats and Chis Forest. And by 1982, I started planting trees around this place. That's making my own forest.
A forest isn't just trees and wood, it's the heart of an entire life-giving system, as Eston reminds us.
Our forest, that's the mountain, to me, is a tank of water. So if we preserve the forest, there will be water around. If the trees are gone, we lose all that water.
Well, you may say, let's just go out and plant a whole bunch of trees. Well, people do by the thousands, by the millions. Yet that's just step one if you want to get to a tree this big.
The trees which are being planted, they are not cared for so that they grow. The problem lies there. Once we plant, we have to monitor to make sure the seedlings grow. And this may take 3, 4, 5 years for a local tree to grow and hold. The problem is goats, cows, and also a major enemy is bushfire. We have to take care of our seedlings.
Just in our short visit, we saw a fire burning on the mountain as we climbed. Eston says the real trouble began about 20 years ago when buyers from the city started showing up looking for cooking fuel.
Yes, these people were communicating with the villagers around. They asked them or they place an order for charcoal. So when the charcoal is ready, the charcoal is taken to towns to be sold.
So reducing demand for charcoal is a top priority. There's a USAID-UKAID joint program in Malawi trying to do that through more efficient cook stoves, through sustainable charcoal, forest management, and supporting enterprises that are forest sustaining for honey and moringa. For some final words of wisdom on saving the forest of Malawi, we turn once again to Eston Ngoza.
to change the mindset of old people is a big problem.
The young people.
The only thing is you engage them, but go to the young ones. When they will have their own children, they will teach them what they have known about trees. Then the other generation will completely forget or this system of cutting down trees. They will see trees as their brothers because it's trees supporting life on earth.